The winter winds of New York carried with them the scent of silence and longing. Jennifer stood by her apartment window, watching the fog settle on the glass. Her eyes, though painted with the colors of success, held a void, a longing for something far beyond the luxury that surrounded her. Years ago, in the heart of Chicago, her story had begun. A tale not of glamour or grandeur, but of a humble boy named Elias. With gentle eyes and a calm voice, Elias worked in the old city library, surrounded by the scent of dusty books and forgotten pages. He was unlike anyone she had ever met, quiet, grounded, and full of dreams that didn't need money to survive. Their meeting had been nothing more than chance. Jennifer, with her high heels and hurried steps, had bumped into him while searching for a rare book. He had looked up, simply smiled, and pointed toward the shelf she couldn't reach. That moment, that smile, something had stirred inside her. Over time, Jennifer began visiting the library more frequently. For books at first, and eventually for the boy who knew how to listen without judgment. Elias, though hesitant, could not ignore the warmth in her presence. Their worlds were different. She belonged to a life of wealth and expectations. He, to a life of quiet survival and relentless effort. As days turned to months, love blossomed between them in the soft spaces between words, in shared coffee cups and long, unspoken gazes. But love, in the real world, is rarely simple. Jennifer's parents, particularly her father, could never accept a man like Elias. Poor, ordinary, and far from their social class. When she finally gathered the courage to confess her feelings, her father's fury had no limits. "You don't know what love is," he had shouted. "He's not your equal. He's a phase." But for Jennifer, it was never a phase. It was a truth she carried in every heartbeat. Meanwhile, Elias, wounded but not defeated, made a silent promise to himself. "I will rise, not for wealth, not to prove myself, but to deserve her love." He began working tirelessly. He sold books during the day in the cold corners of city sidewalks. At night, he gave tuitions to children in cramped apartments. He slept little, ate less, and yet his eyes never lost their light. His love was his fuel, his devotion, a sacred madness. Jennifer, forced to stay away by her family, moved to New York. She immersed herself in work, rose higher in her career, but her heart remained anchored in the memories of a boy who never let go. Years passed, and then one day, unable to bear the weight of longing, Jennifer returned to Chicago. The city had changed, but her search for Elias had not. She walked those familiar streets, visited the library, now quieter, lonelier, until finally she found him again. Elias, still humble, still sincere, stood behind a wooden desk with the same smile she had fallen for. But there was something different, a tiredness, a maturity, a quiet triumph in his eyes. They didn't speak much. They didn't need to. In the final scene of their love story, beneath the falling autumn leaves, they stood hand in hand. No drama, no explanations, just a shared silence that carried years of pain, love, sacrifice, and victory. It wasn't a perfect ending. It was better. It was real.